Okay guys, welcome to this video. We have a simple PIV setup on a jet contraction that you see here. This is the one of our friend Leandro. The setup is quite simple, it's a PIV setup. We have a laser here from Evergreen and we have two cameras from LaVision that are actually seeing in a stereoscopic configuration the plane that is actually shown here. What we call laser, the laser from Evergreen, is not a single laser, is a double cavity laser, which means there are two single beams which are overlapped to each other. Now, the two beams are separated by a certain delta t, and the two beams, they have a really small pulse time. This pulse time is of the order of nanoseconds, which allows us to freeze the particles within a certain time. These cameras can record about 10-15 images per second. The difference between this one and a normal camera is that for every frame we get actually two images. These two images are separated by a certain time. This time is basically given by the max performance of the manufacturer. But we don't care about what is the time there, because we have the time of the laser that freezes the particles within a certain delta t. Which means this guy will drive basically the delta t between the two images that we will see, and these ones will be recording with their own speed. We have two images for the first camera with a separation of a certain delta t that is given by the laser. You see that typically a particle has the size of a couple of pixels, and now as you can see here, we see a clear movement of the particles from the bottom to the top. This is a normal jet. This kind of seeding, it's just the disco smoke, which means each particle is about 0.5 microns. Now, if you think that those cameras, they have about 6.7 micron per pixel, you can imagine that we won't be able to see the particle at all. Now, we do a trick, because as you can see here, we have each particle is about 2 or 3 pixels. So how do we do that? We basically change the f-stop of the cameras to actually allow the diffraction spot of the particle to become larger than the pixel of the camera. That allows us to have particles of a couple of pixels, which are nothing else than the recording of the airy function around the particles. These kind of flows are a bit difficult to be studied with PIV, just because, as you can see here, we have different flow characteristics. You have the main jet in the middle, and you have the small vertical particles that are on the side. Now, if you read a book about PIV, they tell you that the best displacement that you should have between the two images should be about 10 pixels. This is just traditionally done because the error on the correlation is about 0.1 pixel, which means 0.1 divided by 10 gives you more or less an accuracy of 1% on the single image. Now, this is true if you have a certain flow where the dynamic range of your pixel shift stays around 10. In these kind of flows, we have basically 0 pixel displacement on the outside of the jet, and we have quite a strong velocity in the middle, which means typically what we want to have is a nice displacement here on the structures on the side. So what we do, we allow for a slightly larger pixel displacement here in the middle to get these structures with an accuracy of 5 to 10%. As you can see here, the number of particles that you see on your field of view will decide upon your resolution. The number of particles that you will have in your correlation window will set basically what is your final window size. And the final window size that you have will set what is your resolution on the field. So for example, if you want to have a resolution of 1 millimeter, you should go basically, you should have at least 6 to 10 particles in a correlation window, which corresponds to 1 millimeter. As you can see here, we generated a plane. This plane is about 1 millimeter thick. And as you can see here, the jet has the major part of the seeding that is coming out from the jet, and on the outside we see small particles which are recirculating at a lower speed. We are operating at low power, so we can actually stay here, but always wear your goggles.